Hi, my name is Nathan and welcome to today's webinar. This webinar is a part of the Resilient Kids and Youth Project, and today I'm joined by one of our Outback Futures councillors, Bronwyn. I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. So, Bronwyn, what are we talking about today?
Today, Nathan, we're talking about 4 ways to build connection with your loved ones. I think that connecting with family and friends is super important, and it's best done when we connect well with ourselves. So, talking about choosing to invest time in those relationships and focusing on what matters most. And that is those that are around us. It can be done. It requires time and effort, but the rewards will be super worth it.
Nice. I like the little emphasis on can, because sometimes we do think that time is disappearing really quickly. So it's nice to know that we are able to do these little things. What are some of the challenges that parents might experience in trying to build connection with their children?
Speaking from experience, but also from conversations that I've had with lots of people, the most common one, especially right now in society, is distraction. People not staying fully present and not staying fully engaged. So their minds are thinking about the 50,000 other things, what the day was, what issues might be going on. Smartphones, good old smartphones, that can consume our time and our energy, they can become a distraction. So they take us away from that connection. So connection really needs to be intentional. So today we're going to discuss 4 different ways that you could do that.
Fantastic. I totally agree. The old smartphones actually feel like I'm getting dumber using it all the time. So that's all right. That's another whole topic.
Speak for yourself.
Sorry?
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, no, I'm not speaking for everyone else. Everyone else might be perfectly fine. So why is it important to have this conversation today?
I think it's important for families to understand that building intentional connection is super important, because life can be so full and so busy. You think about, as soon as there's more than one person in a conversation, it's busy and it's full. So we need to remember that that's the case for all of us. We need to remember that there's power in connection, and there's power in connection between parents and carers and children. It's important for there to be that generational connection, and that healthy connection happens when we strengthen ourselves as individuals, but then we strengthen ourselves together, because then we can all contribute positively to the lives of the other people that are around us. So if we're talking about building connection, healthy connection with our loved ones, it goes both ways.
Yeah, perfect. The idea of the power and connection, it's a nice little touch, nice wording. So thank you for bringing that in. How does helping families connect with or build resilience through the connection in that family?
So I think if we think about, if we build strong and healthy connections in families, it helps reinforce the individual family member role. Like I was just saying about, it's generational. It goes both ways. It's not just the parents, building connection with the kids. It's also kids building connection with parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, extended community. Each one of us matters. And when we spend intentional time building that connection, it helps all of us to feel really seen and really valued. And when we feel seen and valued, we tend to contribute more. So life hack 101.
No, that's cool. That's cool. The idea of connection through generations, I love that kind of connotation. I was lucky enough to have my grandparents grow up, or have just, I grew up just down the road from them. And so it was really nice to have that touch of learning about their history and that type of thing, and sharing that type of stuff. So that obviously builds a nice family connection through those stories and asking questions. So that's cool.
I'm a huge fan of story building connection, as you would know. And, it's like you watch the young ones keep the older ones a lot, like alive and happy. And, you watch the older people like make cups of tea and sit and chat. And it's just it's so beautiful. And I think, it's really important for us to continue to help people understand the beauty of really building on that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you have some tips today about practically helping families build connections. What's your first tip for today's webinar?
First tip, super important one, is quality time. Share time and space together. as I said earlier, everyday life can get so full. You know, you think about school, extracurricular activities, work, everything in between. It's important for us to actually choose to commit quality time. You know, whatever that might look like for every different family, because some families are morning people and some families are not. My family is not. But actually making that commitment to say, okay, you know, example, a shared meal. You know, dinner's on the table at 6. We look forward to everyone being there. And shared meals give opportunity for connection in a way that I don't think anything else does. Gathering around a table, sharing meal, you know, it's communal. It's a communal opportunity for people to communicate. And I think that when we choose to do that, it shows value to each other.
Yep.
And of course, you get to enjoy delicious food and chat about the day and ask curious questions. So big fan, quality time.
Yeah, you touched on space. Do you want to just unpack that a little bit more? So what do you mean by space in that quality time?
So I think creating space, you know, for me, an example with my 3 girls. So I solo parent raised my 3 girls from when they were 2, 4, 6, and creating that space was, you know, setting the table. And it didn't need to be fancy. It was just, you know, can someone grab the forks and knives, you know, and setting the table and creating that space where they felt seen, they felt heard. It was opportunity for me to ask questions that sparked, you know, deeper conversations. And when I think about where my kids are at now at age 18, 20, 22, they still do those kinds of things. You know, we still do those kinds of things where we sit around the table and we talk about something that we're grateful for that day. Because when you ask, what are you grateful for today? It's a curious question, right? Mm. And so the people on the other side of that question are like, let me have a think about it. And some days there might be one thing and some days there might be 50. But it's asking those I call them curious questions. Ask those curious questions so that people have the opportunity to share who they are. You know, we don't want them to just tell us what they think we want to hear. We want them to feel safe in that connection. Because when they tell you the good stuff and you've created space for them to share the good stuff, they'll also come and share the, you know, the hard and the ugly as well. Yeah.
Cool. And that's coming from like the idea of a childlike living experience. Like children are always asking questions and being very curious about things. So instead of it being an adult kind of asking the questions, we can be a child in our adultness in the way we ask questions and that curiosity to come across. So
I love that. Yeah. Yes. Ask curious questions. Yes. At all ages.
Totally.
Yeah.
So what are some good examples of what this may look like?
If you're going to create space and quality time, put the phones away. Set the table, no devices at the table, you know, create those healthy boundaries, because healthy boundaries help foster connection. Because people feel, you know, and it's kind of like, even if they're sitting at the table and you feel like they're itching to like get the chat done and get the food done so we can get back to our devices, or, you know, get back to our, you know, whatever it is that they're getting back to, homework potentially. But setting the table, get the kids involved in setting the table. And, you know, when you get the kids involved and there's no devices at the table, respectful listening happens because you're asking those curious questions. And so I think that, you know, creating space is something that everyone can do as a family, and it sets you up for life, you know? Yeah.
And I was thinking, as you talked about that, the idea of the no phones at the table is great, but also externally of that is us as adults make sure we're not on the phone all the time. So that the kids don't see it's just phone engagement, I suppose. It's actually listening to the other partner or whoever may be in the house, or the children as well, rather than just being on the phone, which may help bring that more intentional conversation and curiosity there.
And again, it's a part of quality time. So if they know that, you know, whether it's breakfast time or dinner time or Sunday lunch, you know, whatever that time is, it has an end date. You know, it's not forever. You're not trapped at the table answering mum and dad's or aunties and uncles or grandparents' curious questions for the rest of your life. You know, but they know that it's about the quality of it, and yeah, setting boundaries.
That's good. Is that like would you say, okay, we're having lunch and it's going to start at 12 and we're going to finish at 1? Is that a kind of a round figure you'd kind of give, or was it like give them an open-ended, oh, we may finish then, or is there any boundaries you would use for the closing kind of time, or just see what happens?
Even now, like that the kids are grown-ups, you know, so it might be, example could be, you know, well, at mum's house, we're going to do Taco Tuesday, dinner's at 6, you know, come, and, you know, there's no kind of end time. It's not like in the calendar I'm like, and you must be out of my house by 7:30 p.m. But there's an awareness around, you know, the beauty of the boundaries. It's honoring everybody's time, and it's making the time that you do have genuine quality. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Not
Nice.
just kind of open-ended. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It works. P.S. It works.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. I remember as a kid, we used to have that, you know, sit around the table kind of time in my family growing up on the farm, and it was really nice to have that as well. And people would be, you know, bringing jokes and that type of stuff there as well. So it was always a good time and good memory to have. So yeah, it's cool. What's the next tip for parents?
Next tip for parents is about keeping communication lines open, branching out from what I've just been talking about. Ask those curious questions, asking questions that aren't just, you know, how was school today, or like questions that have just like yes, no answers, but actually asking questions and listening between the lines. And sometimes as parents, you know, we're tired, or loved ones, you know, we're tired, and it's kind of like, oh, can I just like ask, what do you think of the weather, you know? But having that, creating space. And so having those shared meals, keeping those communication lines open, so that when you're asking, you know, and the kids are sharing with you, or that, you know, family are sharing with you about stuff that's going on, and it could be the good stuff, they will also come to you with, like I said before, the bad and the ugly stuff too, if the communication lines are open. I talk about this being age appropriate, because obviously if the kids are old enough and they've got their own phones, you can start a family thread. The family chat thread on my iPhone is probably the busiest thread of all of my threads. And it can be memes, it can be funny jokes, it can be TikTok videos that I don't even understand. And it's, you know, hey, mum, are you home? Hey, mum, can I call? You know, like all of those things. And again, these kids are now 18, 20, 22. Because we have the history of open communication lines, there's a safety in it for them to be able to ask the good, bad, and the ugly, or, hey, who's getting the tickets for the Taylor Swift concert today? You know, those kinds of things.
Well, that's the big things in life, getting the Taylor Swift.
Well, you know,
So
I think when we, again, keep those communication lines open, people feel cared for, you know, and they continue to come back to that safe space that we've created in the quality time. Yeah.
Fantastic. I love it. What are some ways to keep communication lines open with kids? So you've touched a little bit of that thread that you guys have, but are there other ways you can do that?
Well, again, you know, like if you're in the car on the way home from school, not just asking those blanket questions that, you know, like how was school? You know, that could just give you that yes, no answer, but continuing to ask those curious questions. You know, what was your favorite thing about school today? Is another way to ask a question that will actually lead to more curiosity and the kids sharing a little bit more. When we lead the chat in a way that's open, and for us that involves us putting ourselves aside as well, because we can have 50,000 things going on in our own heads. So really just, making space. Yeah.
That's good. I remember my grandfather asking us all the time when we'd see him, what do you know? And it was always that dreaded question of going, oh man, I have no idea what I'm going to say to it. But it was like, as you grew older, you're like, I need to start saying, oh, I know this now and that type of stuff. So, but yeah, coming and changing it that is a different way of doing it. And that's fantastic. So that's good. So as parents, we're helping our kids to build some connection by listening well and asking curious questions. But I'm guessing that takes time to build that communication stream.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes time and practice from both ends. You know, the kids are kind of like, why did they just ask me, like, what was your favorite thing about school today? As opposed to, did you have a good day at school? Yes, no. What was your favorite thing about school today? Art. What did you do in the art class? You know?
Yeah, that's cool.
continuing those curious questions. So yeah, it takes time, but the reward and the connection will be absolutely worth it.
Yeah, it's good. I've tried my hardest for my nieces to ask, what did you learn at school today? Instead of it being a closed question, that type of stuff, or, what did the teachers teach you today on that type of stuff and those type of things. So yeah, it's cool. I like it.
I hope, like, as I was prepping for the webinar, it was like, if people take away anything from this, it's have the courage to ask the curious questions, because you'll be surprised at the kind of information that you learn about each other. So special. It's really special.
I think what's really cool that I learned from it is actually how much content they take in from school.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes I think about myself, I'm like, man, what did I do that day? But then like they can reproduce the information. It's like, wow, they're actually really learning and that type of stuff. So it's good to see the engagement of my nieces in their school and that type of stuff. So that's really cool as well.
Yeah. And they're responding to you asking curious questions.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
There we go. Mm-hmm.
What's the next tip for parents today?
Next one today, know your family values. Now, we used to have a whiteboard up in our family, and I drew a circle in the middle of it, and it said yearly girl values. And we had like little lines shooting off it, and it would say things like kindness, truth, honesty, integrity, kindness, but knowing what they are. And sometimes when you talk to people in counseling, they're kind of like, you'll say, I want to help you make some values-based decisions. And they're like, I don't know what my values are. So even breaking that down, and it's something that you can do as a family, finding out what those things are that are important to you. And once you know what your family values are, you can filter your family's decisions through it. Should we do this? Should we move house? Should we move away? Should we send the kids to that school? Should we have those friends over? Should we go on that camping trip? Big decisions and little decisions can be made when you filter them through those family values. So really, it's a really good way to find out who each family member are and letting them contribute regardless of their age. What is something that's important to you, and finding out what those things are. Yeah, really important.
That's good. It's also giving them a voice, as you've said before, of, they may be 4 years old, but they're still going to be talking into what the bigger picture is for their family activities are. So that's really cool.
Absolutely.
How do my family, how do we work out our values, and what's a practical way to do this? So you've talked about yours with the whiteboard. So what are some other practical ways for people to link into that?
One of the best things to do, in counseling, when people are like, I don't know what my values are, I'm like, jump on Google and Google family values list was what I Googled as I was prepping for this, just so I knew what I could tell you guys to look for. But, you look for it, you can print it out, you can go through it, you can, get the kids to get different color felt pens or something and circle words that stand out to them, that resonate with them, that are important to them. Again, it'll lead to curious conversations about, why is that important to you? Why is kindness important to you? Why is integrity important to you? Like those kinds of things. Why is connection important to you? So I've got one family that turned them into a family values tree. So they actually wrote out the words, and then they stuck it on a tree that looks like fruit, so that their family are kind of like, they're the things that are important to us. I'm learning new things from the different ways that clients are responding to creating their own values list. But I think that it really helps families understand who they are as a family unit. And I think that that's a really important thing with regards to connection. Yeah.
That's true. The tree can link into so many different ways. Of the values can be starting off in the roots, and then what grows from the values, and then the fruit is just showing what's come of it. So that's a really cool way of doing that. It's really nice.
Absolutely.
You've had some great stuff already. What's the final way we can kind of build connection as our family?
The last one, and I won't say my most favorite, because hopefully it's all been pretty good, but make memories together. And the way that I've written this in brackets, have fun together, and that'll look different for every family. It'll be, for some of us, it'll be go for a walk, take photos as a family, play board games. I did write in my notes, if that's fun for you, because we do know how board games can go. Craft, cook together, work on a puzzle together as a family, watch a favorite family movie and have popcorn, make it something special. Again, create that space, create that quality time, and create those, curious questions. Ask the kids what are things that they think are fun things to do together. Road trip to a cool place, play I Spy in the car. I've written here, bust a move to some fun family playlist. The list is endless, and it doesn't need to be expensive. It's not like, let's save up all of our money and go to Disneyland, although that could be something. But just make memories and have fun as a family. I think it's important, for all of us to remember that it doesn't need to be expensive. And I'm pretty sure there's not one person in my life that I've met that doesn't remember a good blanket fort from when they were, it's like, hello, that was free and I'll never forget it. So those shared memories really build connection with our loved ones, and the loved ones then feel woven into a beautiful tapestry of love. And I think that that's life-changing.
Yeah, it's cool. I was leading on a kayak trip in the last few weeks, and we left really early in the morning, and some of these kids are grade 9 kids, grade 9, grade 10, whatever it was, but they wanted to play music. And so we put on the songs that they chose, and actually a lot of them were from the 80s, which is great for us. And it was just really cool just to watch the kids just sing at the top of their lungs all of these songs and that type of stuff. And we also played I Spy and all those little things that kids want to do. And it's like, we think sometimes because they're growing up so quick because of, smartphones and technology, that they don't want to go back and do these, what, maybe deemed a simple game. But really, when you come to it, they're still kids. And allowing that moment to play, to learn in those ways is really cool. So it's definitely something to always go back to, and love a good fort. My nieces, I'm still getting there with my nieces and play there and that type of stuff. So it's good to have those memories as well. So,
and have fun, have fun as a family, because life can feel, like school and homework and work and money and bills and all of it, so have fun, make memories.
That's so true. Yeah. So shared memories build connection, like a tapestry, as you've said. Is there any that you want to describe yourself or unpack a little bit? Like for me, I've kind of just touched on a couple just then. I grew up on a dairy farm, so we also had like small square hay bales and that type of stuff. So we would build cubbies in the small square hay bales. We'd use planks and that type of stuff and build this massive fort in this, 500 square bale fort and that type of stuff. So you had to make sure you weren't lighting candles or anything like that because it would burn down. But, it was a really cool time to grow some strategic planning of like, how are we going to do this as a children, but also to allow like the parents to allow us to do that and go, okay, well, we feel fine with them doing it. So I got those little memories and that sort of stuff. Like, is there anything else for that tapestry you want to unpack yourself there as well?
No, but even just knowing that you had the free, I love that, knowing you've got the memory, so it was fun, and you having the freedom, having parents that gave you the freedom to go do that, like that. It's just so beautiful when you think about the way that, that's your story's been woven together. We've all got stories that are being woven together through, the magic of memories and the connections that we make. And it's a really special thing. So thank you for sharing.
Oh, no worries at all. No worries at all. There are plenty more, but we're not going to run out of time if we can.
I know. We could be here all day.
And no one wants to hear just about my life anyway, so everyone else is more important. I think so. So what's one thing that would you like to encourage parents to give a go this week in building connection with their loved ones?
The best advice I could give is just start somewhere. Start anywhere. It all matters. Everything that we've talked about today. Try the little chats on the way home from school in the car. Give yourself permission to ask your kids curious questions. Have a chat at the table and ask kids what's one thing that you've been grateful for. Try the no devices at the table, and just see how the kids respond. It might take a little bit of time for them to understand if that hasn't been a boundary for your family. They'll be like, what? Why? I'm attached. It's attached to my hand. So give yourself permission, for the changes to take time. Plan something fun to do together. Make a list of things that, your family want to do as as ways to make memories and have fun and, start to tick them off. But make plans, start somewhere, start to talk to your family about what your values are and what matters to you as a family. And just remember, the things that we've talked about today, that quality time. And, keep those communication lines open and know what your family values are and make memories and have more fun. Yay.
It sounds terrible making memories and having more fun.
I know. Who created this webinar? What were we thinking?
No, it's good.
It's ways to build a connection with your family and your loved ones. I love it.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very true. It's some great stuff you've been able to present to us today, Bronwyn. So thank you for that. Just to wrap it up, if you're watching this, feel free to visit the Outback Futures website, outbackfutures.org.au. We're also on the Facebook and the Instagram, that type of stuff as well. Also, we have a bit of a Spotify playlist with all the webinars and everything stored on there. So on our website, we have a resource page, but then also if you wanted to listen to this in your car or something like that, not watch the actual video, then we have all our webinars on Spotify as well. So thank you, Bronwyn, so much for sharing that with us today. You've done a great job and you have some really good content, which is amazing, as always. Yeah, and we just want to thank you for visiting, if I can speak, sorry, and look forward for more Resilient Kids and Youth series in the coming months. So thank you so much.